one of the questions that has been bugging me for quite some time, and I thought that you might be an appropriate person to ask this, given your background, is why are there so few conservative theoreticians? Why, and I really mean this. I think it's a really important question because the left have them in spades. I mean, you've got every Tom, Dick and Harry low-level midwit on the left producing a book on some junk that will eventually go to feed a fire. But like, why do the conservatives seem to produce so few like high caliber intellectuals? Why is that?
Superb question that I've been struggling with for about a month now. And let me say, we kind of dove straight into this discussion. And I want to give you credit for not just what you've done politically and with your content, but you are perhaps unique. There's maybe one or two other people, but I'd be struggling to put them in the same category, who does popular content that is philosophically informed.
Thank you.
And you can watch out reams and hours of dry, boring, garbage lectures on philosophy, but I hate the word academic, but I've been teaching since 1993, and I spent 6 years in the Defense Department as a professor of irregular warfare. And I always told my officers day one, studying theory is great, but if it doesn't impact the real world, you're wasting my time. I'm just not interested. If there's no praxis that comes out of the theory, you're wasting my time. And you have a very effective combination of informed analysis that actually answers the so what question that impacts the real world.
Thank you so much.
No, absolutely. It's sincerely meant. We think of this. Think of the modern conservative movement in America. I love Ronald Reagan, unique. I grew up under Maggie in West London, amazing. But in the last 60 years, name for me a really it's an awful word, a significant, not impactful, a significant conservative thinker who's had influence on daily politics. Now, I love Roger Scruton, but does the late Roger translate into stuff we saw? Is there any connection between Roger and Brexit? I don't think so. There's nothing organic. And people here in America say, we have to go back. We have to go back to Barry Goldwater, 60 years ago, and his little pamphlet that wasn't even written by him to say, well, that was a great thinker. Well, it wasn't written by him. And yes, he paved the way for Reagan, but where are, I hate the word ideologues, but where are the serious men thinking serious ideas? So I guess you've given us another piece of homework. It's not just the bench, the personnel. We have to do this. I mean, my first degree was philosophy and theology, and I don't see any heavy philosophical thinking being done for the MAGA environment, the MAGA ecosystem in the last 5 years, which is insane. We in DC in the swamp, we've got more flipping quangos and think tanks that you can shake a stick at. And I don't see that. I see a couple of great websites, but they're not translating it into political action the way the left is. And to what you said previously, it's shocking. The left is full of it, but it's all crap. I mean, they're thinkers.
Yeah.
They're thinkers. I mean, I debated better buddies in my school in West London when I was 14 who were smarter than the garbage books that the left puts out. But white fragility, are you shitting me? I mean, really? That is the Plato of the left today. So you're asking me why we don't have it. Here's my kind of cop-out answer in general to why we are always weaker than the left. And I believe it. It's a little trite, but I believe it. The left is predicated on what? The collective. It's the Borg. It's a hive mind. If you're a conservative, whether you're Modi or whether you're Nigel or whether you're Trump, what do you care about? The individual. The rights are not deigned to be given to us by the state. They're a function of us being made in God's image. So what we focus on is the individual. That is our starting point. And if we're just a bunch of autonomous individuals enjoying our God-given rights and trying to keep government small, we don't hang out with each other a lot thinking big things, because we don't have the talking points. I mean, after the Chauvin trial verdict came out a week ago, everywhere there are clips. I think Tucker did this. There are clips for the next 24 hours. Every stinking left-wing politician who said something, and every mainstream lying legacy media show host used the phrase, "But there's still work to be done."
Yeah.
We don't have talking points. We don't do talking points.
Yeah.
We're not organized. So maybe we have to get serious about, what was it? The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We need a league of serious gentlemen who do the thinking for conservatism, whether it's in the UK or whether it's here.
I know. I think you're absolutely right. And the terrifying organizational capacity of the left is something that the conservatives should be looking at. Like, I've read Alinsky, I read Rules for Radicals, and I read it a few years ago. Like, I still don't consider myself to be a conservative in the sort of dyed-in-the-wool mentality of it, but the way I view myself is I was fairly apolitical, but obviously quite a creature of the 1990s when I was growing up. And then in my 30s, I suppose, in my late 20s, I'd read about a third of Das Kapital. I'd read some Nietzsche, and I'd been like, okay, well, that's interesting. And it was only when I actually started to encounter the tumorous growth that has come out of the left now that I realized, well, I'm not part of the left. I'm not, if this is what the left is, I'm not part of this. And so I've had to, introduce myself essentially to conservative philosophy. And it turns out the conservative philosophy is actually, the different strands of it, but like most of it is predicated essentially on classical liberalism. It's the sort of philosophy that founds the American Republic. And I'm in awe that people can attack that kind of philosophy on a moral basis, because it just seems to be the most sensible moral negotiation between each individual and the state. What rights do I want you to have? Because I'll have the same rights. And that's, I think, where it all comes down. The number of human rights is actually fixed. It's equal to the number of humans. Whereas the left, you've noticed that like every 5 minutes, and you see this with Jeremy Corbyn. Oh, the internet should be a human right. How could it be? How could it be, Jeremy? It was just the first thing that was at the front of your head, wasn't it, Jeremy? You just like that but that's not how human rights work. The question is, are human rights constructed by the state, or were they imbued into us by our creator? Whatever you believe that to be. And, I'm a stinking atheist still, but I still think that our rights are inherent and inalienable. So this, I think, is the main schism that it's embarrassing to watch conservatives just falling into this. Oh, well, maybe healthcare could be a right. Maybe these things could be a right. It's why can't we push back? What have we done wrong?
Okay, a couple of things. So first things first, you know this as well as anyone. Most people don't read anymore.
Yeah.
Right. I travel the country. I'm always giving speeches wherever I am. Whether it's one of these 4,000 person Turning Point USA kids, conservative kids jamborees, whether it's a Republican fundraiser, I always get asked the similar question: what's Donald Trump really like, and what can I do differently? And one of the things I always, people ask for advice, especially youngsters who want to get into this world. And I say, one piece of advice: I don't care whether you want to be the next president or you want to be a brain surgeon, switch the effing phone off and read a stinking book with pages, okay? We don't do it. I'm as guilty as anyone else. I'm an addict to social media, but we've got to stop every day and actually turn pages on a paper-bound book and read old books first.
Mm-hmm.
Old books first. I don't care whether you want to look at Mesopotamian architecture or Jeremy Bentham. Read old books first. We just don't do it. That's why we're dumb. The left's not better than us. You read their thinkers, Foucault, Derrida. You want to commit suicide after 3 pages. Their writers are so bad. But if you're reading the classics, if you go back to the original, if everyone who cared about conservatism or just democracy, whatever that means to you, just read a French guy's book on America called Alex de Tocqueville, Do you know how much stronger our movement would be? De Tocqueville, The Foreigner's Eye on what was created in America is a stunning work still today. Much better than 99% of the crap you'll find at a local bookstore.
To watch the full video, please become a premium member at lotuseaters.com.